Welcome to this edition, Engage and Compel, sponsored by Rings and Chains for You, Red Button's premier marriage and masochist store. You know how important your loved one's ring is, but have you thought about their need for a gimsuit and nipple clamps? For those couples seeking that special occasion, when they tie the knot whilst tying themselves in knots at the same time. Now, we are proud to have Ges Ray, Mayor of Red Button, as our president and protector against anything that might happen to our establishment in completely unforeseen arson attacks. Bringing, as he does, his expertise in tying people in knots, whilst ensuring that their rings are set in concrete. Sit back and enjoy this edition, Engage and Compel.
This lighting's awful, you know. Absolutely awful. I don't see how we can... Can you sort this lighting out? Someone sort this lighting out. Don't you talk to me about audience engagement. I've been engaging my audience more times than Affleck and J-Lo. Or Donald and Boris. 50 ways of grey comb over to look like a blonde member of Parliament. I've been in this business long enough to know that everything there is about engaging your audience. All you need is a good makeover. Cake on the persona you've been using for years. You know, you could plaster the cracks in the wall with this stuff, let alone your act. Yeah, this is all you need. Been doing it for years. Just stick with what you know. Now, my audiences across all channels are now nearly into double figures. Really going places, me. Customer engagement, client engagement, audience engagement, phrases that trip off the tongue in business. In your business, we nod our heads in agreement, tick the boxes, job done. We deliver engagement to our audiences and more. But do we? Indeed, what do we mean by the phrase audience engagement? To engage an audience literally means to get their attention. Once you have it, what are you going to do with it in the few seconds you have left to keep them with you? Some go down on their audiences for those precious few seconds to torch their reputation, torch their brand, and possibly their career. They stumble and fumble around to regurgitate well-worn channels of information, not realising that just imparting information is way down the list. An information dump is the last thing your audience wants or needs at this point. Also at this point, why stop simply at engagement?
Gottverdammt, was ist dies Nonsense, dies Abendheit? This is a guru speaking. A guru, the presentation sensation, the fount, the Führer of all knowledge, for all things speaking, so you will listen to me. Why stop at engagement? Why bother with the engagement in the first place, more like?
Engagement is nothing but a non-sexual romantic notion peddled by these snake oil salesmen who know nothing about the reality of speaking like me. The only thing that matters when you are speaking is you. The stage is yours. Your audience does not matter. They should consider it a privilege to be listening to you in the first place. So get up there and expose yourself to them. Make them your beaches. This is your moment, your stage. This is all about you. A guru has spoken. Namaste. Opinions from experts such as Guru aside, let's stop for a moment to consider what stands between you and your audience, other than the looking glass of your laptop and the gorgon eye of your camera. That space is filled by your audience's personal transmedia bubble, a distracting mix of adverts, alerts, magazine adverts, feeds, branding on the packets of what you feed on, let alone what brand of glasses or shoes that you choose. That's the bubble that sits between you and your audience. Why should they pay attention to you other than for a fleeting moment? What else can you do to go further when delivering presentations, videos, vlogs, YouTube channels, podcasts? How about you engage? Engage, then compel, haunt, and even obsess your audiences. I'd never thought of that. But then I've been doing the same stuff for years. Why should I change my way now? Even millennials are discovering the taste of getting old now that Gen Z have found TikTok. It's sort of minty, sort of cabbagey to taste, like keto with paunch. Thinking about it though, my hints and tips are perhaps in need of a refresh. When to bring Mars bars into your first date regime used to be so popular years ago, such a hit. It works for Marianne Faithfull, allegedly, but then all this paleo stuff came in with macros and carb deficits. Squeezing in a chocolate bar on date night doesn't seem to be the right thing on apps these days. Come to think of it, no one seems to have swiped right on me for, forever. I don't think Tinder has an option for Mars bars. Oh well, back to the old. But perhaps it's more than my makeup I need to change. Tell me more. Certainly, you'll be amassed. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, cue music at this point for the Mission Impossible series, is to engage with echo. Engage your audience. Compel your audience to keep listening. Haunt your audience with some form of emotional engagement. Then obsess them with knowledge so they keep coming back. Engage. Taking these in groups, in this episode, let's focus on engage and compel, asking ourselves where nudity fits in. Now you got my attention. Exactly, proving the point. When we engage, really engage, we create an instant reaction. A reaction where our audience's brains say, I really need to pay attention to this. It's primal. It's instinctual, as in a pattern of behaviour based on instinct, such as an instinctual survival response from deep in our amygdala, the part of the brain that drives the fight or flight response. Bright colours, a flash of nudity perhaps, those Christmas perfume adverts spring to mind, or those old-fashioned seaside postcards just hinting at naughtiness. So what other examples can we look at that could trigger such an instant reaction in your audience? Examples that are a little more suited to the world you and I live in than nudity, appealing though that might be. A dramatic change in your tone of voice, a change in your on-screen persona will likely wake your audience from their slumbers, at least for a moment. Wow, what happened? What did I miss? Where is this going? I better pay attention. This is definitely not what you were expecting. Although in Mission Impossible, they always seem to be wearing sunglasses. A change from the norm of what your audience is expecting from you will create a moment of shock, just a moment of engagement. What about language? We've got used to each other by now. We're comfortable with our respective use of language. Yet, a transmogrification of your language as you endeavour to elucidate the difference twixt the eschatological and the scatalogical, as you strive towards a more eleemosynary society, may just have your audience, or indeed you, scattering for dictionaries, hopefully not in a scatalogical manner, assuming, of course, that this is not your normal speech pattern in the first place. Whilst we're here, let's experiment with engage. What can you do to experiment with creating that initial engagement with your particular audience?
Des Ringen des Nibelungen. What again is this nonsense, this Albernheit? This is a guru speaking. A guru, the presentation sensation, the fount, the Führer of all knowledge for all things speaking, so you will listen to me. Engagement is for fairy stories. Nudity is good. You is a speaker. All you has to do is imagine everyone naked. Yeah, this will increase your televisual and oral pleasures, whilst you are in their homes and orifices, not just at a distance. This is not American TV with pixelated nipples. Imagine you are proofreading their text. Guten job done. Works every time. Just don't mention the duck butter. People are too vogue. They get triggered, you know. A guru has spoken. A guru has spoken. Namaste.
As usual, guru, he is just completely wrong. Even the point about nudity, which you have to admit takes some doing for guru. Let's get back to experimenting with creating that initial engagement. You know the normal you. You know what your audiences normally expect of you. Now, what could you experiment with? How could you deliver differently?
Like this, you mean?
It's a start. So, you've engaged with your audience. Now, this is where many other presenters, speakers, and creators stop. But why stop there? What will compel your audience to stay with you? There's almost a mystery to it. Spoiler alert, mystery, a hint of something interesting around the corner, not knowing what's coming next. Aha! I think I'm getting it. So it's not enough just to engage my audience with a flash of an unwrapped Mars bar. That's only going to grab their attention for a moment. I've got to drop hints slowly and seductively about just what might be inserted next. We've really got to do something about your material. Yet the point is exactly right. Tell me more. I want to know more. That's the reaction you want in your audience. What's next? Let's look at some examples from other mediums. Was a weekly comic perhaps part of your childhood? It was for me. For my era, it was iconic names such as Dandy and Beano. Now, I'd love to explore comics across the generations with you. But the more interesting question here is, why were you so eager to spend your weekly pocket money or persuade your parents to part with their money on something as a comic? Colour, yes, they had plenty in the banner headline. So engaged? Yeah, you were certainly engaged. Or was it because of the mystery, the intrigue, the cliffhanger? What were your favourite characters about to do next? You can binge on box sets today. Netflix, Amazon Prime, BBC iPlayer. Although Netflix and chill now has certain connotations. Oh, nudity again. It's like having the bumper comic book at Christmas, gorging on every episode at once. Yet, some programmes are released the old-fashioned way, where you have no choice but to await the release of each episode. So frustrating! You're on the edge of your seat, and then, you've got to wait till next week. How dare they? Because they know what they are doing. That's why. They know you want to know what happens next. Gasping for what's next, for what is round the corner. You are compelled to watch each week. You are compelled to find out what happens next. That's the essence. That's the joy of Compel. Now, between us, I'd suggest we've nailed Compel. We've nailed how to compel our audiences. Or have we? Is there more?
Tune in next week, folks. Same time, same place, for the next episode of...
He's got it! By George, I think he's got it!
This edition, Engage and Compel, was brought to you by Rings and Chains for You, a Red Button's premier selection of everything you need for the perfect evening of engagement celebrations, in humiliations. Our wide selection of jewellery, clothing and devices is hand-picked to suit every taste and adorn each scrotum. So trim those nails, fasten those rings, and visit the only shop in Red Button where being told to sling your hook is a free gift. Next time, Haunt and Obsess features a guest gut-wrenching, indeed a finger-wrenching appearance by Ges Ray, Mayor of Red Button, as he explains his technique for dealing with cliffhangers. Not to be missed, you'll be hanging on by your fingernails.